7 o'clock. It's ready? Everybody ready? This meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pull out D.
Could you remember that question?
Okay, yeah. City Clerk Ed Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Speech.
Here.
Councilmember Radner.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Okay, everyone's here. I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. I would like to remove item D from the consent agenda. I have a question about it for the finance director. So the consent agenda is routine items that are approved without discussion as a single item. If there's questions, we can have one of them pulled out. So item A is regular council meeting minutes of June 19th, 2017. B, zoning board of appeals meeting minutes of May 23rd, 2017. C, payment of invoices from Orchard, Hilton, McClement, OHM for bridge enhancements. Woo!
Yay.
Traffic signal optimization and SAW grant support in the total amount of $23,483.35. We're skipping D, and E is licenses, new and renewals, is submitted for July 5th, 2017. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved, and let's just look at item D, which is a resolution designating Finance Director Sandra Crawford and Deputy Finance Director Jermaine Winters as authorized agents to perform investment activities with D.A. Davidson and Company. And my only question was, why are we switching companies? So is someone here to answer that one? Sandra's not here.
Madam Mayor, I think this is going to have to be a follow-up. I don't think we're switching companies, and I think we're just memorializing a relationship that we already have, and we've been using them, but
Oh, I think she's
walking
coming,
in,
right.
we don't have her. Oh, there she is.
Director Crawford, we have a question about D.A. Davidson. Is this a new company? Are we switching to them? Got it. Oh, put the mic on.
I'm sorry. They are one of our current investment advisors that we use. It's just that the two persons that they had on the account are no longer with the city, and so in order to get access to be able to continue to buy and purchase our investment securities with them, we needed to get council's approval to approve of myself and the deputy finance director.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We need a motion to approve item D, resolution designating Finance Director Sandra Crawford and Deputy Finance Director Jermaine Winters as authorized agents.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. I don't see elected officials. We don't have a public hearing. We are on item 10, which is special licenses. Looking for an approval of special event request and a waiver of fees submitted by Jewish Senior Life Apprentice Apartments for a complex-wide garage sale and flea market to be held on August 27th, 2017. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 11. As I understand it, anybody can go to that garage sale and flea market. You don't have to live there. So shop along and support our neighbors. Item 11A is approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Luca Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $13,933.40. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
Moved and supported. Is there a discussion or questions?
Got to pay your lawyers.
Yeah, thank you. He's a lawyer. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Motion approved. There are no bids. We're on item 13A, second reading and adoption of an ordinance to amend Appendix A zoning, Article 3, and the official zoning map contained therein, being part of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park, Michigan, by changing the use district of certain parcels of land in Section 32 and currently zoned R1, one-family dwelling, to LI, Light Industrial District. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there a discussion or questions on this? Well, that was brought up last meeting. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
We are now at the city manager portion of our agenda. City Manager Eric Tunge.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I think that's the quickest that we've ever gotten to the city manager report, so forgive me, I'm a little off guard here. I would like to have our Human Resources Director, Vicki Brooks, join me at the podium. We're going to conduct a brief presentation about this proposed relationship with Care Here Management for our health and wellness shared municipal health and wellness center costs. Director Brooks, take it away.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Over the last year, the administration, under the direction of City Manager Tungate, has been working on a way to lower our annual health care costs through expansion of our current wellness program. With the help of our health care consultants, an existing program has been identified that meets the administration's goals. I have a slide that I'm going to go through just to give you some of the highlights of the program as we've had discussion regarding it in the past. The slide one, if you will note, it shows that the total cost for the program is $103,924, and this money is already a part of our current budget. Either a portion of it has been budgeted and a portion of it will come from our current costs allocated for our Blue Cross and Blue Shield costs. Slide number 2. It gives you an example of the potential savings in this program. One area would be on office visits alone, as is shown here. Normally, when an employee goes through Blue Cross and Blue Shield to go to an office visit, we spend approximately $160. And if that same service was shifted to the wellness center, the cost would then be reduced to $89.72, resulting in a savings of about $71 per regular visit. Slide number 3 shows us another way in which we are attempting to lower our costs, and it also shows us why we want to do this. We are going to have, as a part of this program, there will be an incentive-based health screening, and this screening, what the screening will do is, it's another way of lowering costs, and it's through preemptive discovery of potential health risks. This program has incentive-based health screenings that will, in the long run, should save us a lot of money because we are catching illnesses before they become catastrophic. our slide number 4 here. Here, we're showing you that we have done everything that we currently have within our toolbox to try and lower our health care costs. As you know, we're self-funded. We have changed our retiree health care. We have our new retiree health care for those that are coming on. We have increased the employee office visit costs, the emergency room costs, and the prescription copays. And then finally, we've increased our employee contributions through deductions and co-insurances. So we've done all those things to try and lower health care costs. Finally, we feel that this is just another avenue where we can lower those costs. Finally, the projected savings from implementing this program within 1 year could be potentially $36,438 in the first year. And what we hope to do is going forward, and this has been proven by the other municipalities that are participating in the program, that savings will increase more and more over time. Any questions?
Councilmember Rich.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. The assumed or proposed savings of $36,000, is that based on the assumption that our employees will use this facility in Ferndale and not any other facility?
It's not necessarily any other facility. We have estimated that if 4 hours of time is used at that facility, and that means 20 minutes per visit a week, that we would then be able to break even.
But if the employees travel instead to their family physician, their primary care physician who they've been going to for years and don't use this clinic, do we realize any savings?
No, if no one used it at all, which is not a possibility, because we're going to have incentives. We're going to have things such as if you go for the health screening, we'll give you a $100 incentive, and or if you go to an appointment while you're at work, we'll allow you an hour of time where you're not utilizing your own banks, or and also when you go, there's a $30 copay when you go to your normal doctor. If you go here, that $30 copay is non-existent. So we think with those things, along with Care Here, who is the company that will be overseeing the facility, along with the programs that they have, we think that it'll be a great success. It's not a possibility that no one's going to go.
You mentioned that there's a $103,000 cost. I'm looking through the contract, and I need a little help here.
Okay.
I noticed in the contract that there was a $20,000 startup fee, and then Section 2.02 has a monthly fee. How much is the monthly fee?
The monthly fee as relates to the rental of the facility, that's $2,400, or you speaking of it
So we've got
different.
$20,000 up front, $2,400 for the rental of the facility. Is that the $26.50 per employee per month? Is that how you get to $2,400?
Not the $2,400.
That's just the lease, and that's a fixed
Yes.
lease, so
That's
that
the
that
lease.
won't change.
Lease cost.
So in addition to the fixed lease of $2,400 a month, there's under Section 2.02, the contract is a $26.50 per employee fee. And this is all the employees, both sides, city side, police side?
You're talking about the administrative fee,
Yeah.
is what you're speaking of.
Correct.
Okay. So our expectation is that approximately 130 employees will be participating in this program, and based on that, the administrative fee cost comes out to $26.50 per employee. So
So
that's what that number means.
All right, so $26.50 times 130. And how did we get the expectation that 130 employees will use the program? How did we determine that?
Well, even if we're required to utilize 4 hours per week at the facility, and that's approximately 20 visits, 20-minute visits, I'm sorry. If we don't utilize our full 4-hour allotment, the other municipalities that are participating, they have the ability to take up some of that time. So we're expecting, because their program is already up and running, it's functioning well, they're getting a gain from being a part of it. We fully expect that if our people initially don't warm up to the program, that the other municipalities will take up the difference.
So just to be clear here, so I understand it, we have a $2,400 a month rental fee, and then 130 times 26.5 gets me $3,445 per month. That's a fee we have to pay. Is there any other, and then is there any other fee that we have to pay on a monthly or yearly basis?
I'm sorry, repeat that,
Is there any
please.
other fee on a monthly or yearly basis that we have to pay to this facility? There's the rental fee, there's the member fee, there's the
Staffing
initiation
costs,
fee.
There's
Well,
supplies and
if you look
pharmaceuticals,
at
labs.
The first slide that I presented, if it could be placed back on the screen. Okay, so the one-time costs, we have the working capital and setup, which is $10,000. And then all of the, here are all the one-time yearly costs that gets us to the $103,924. So the staffing costs, the supplies, pharmaceutical, the labs, and the administrative fee, which is what you're focusing on, is all included in that total 1-year cost. So this is our first year costs.
The administrative fee would be $41,000. Now, again, how many? I'm sorry, I don't know this. I should know this. How many employees do we have here in the city?
We have 130 active employees.
So your assumption is that
With healthcare, though. That's 130 with the healthcare
healthcare.
benefit is what it
And
is.
is this for the city side or the city and the police side? I'm sorry to.
The city and
Public safety
police.
is the city side, but yeah.
All right, well, you know what I mean, okay? We have two different. Sometimes we have two different.
Don't
we have
say
two
that
di-
in front of our director. He puts
We
a
have
smile
two
on his face.
systems for the retirement, so I just need to know. So the assumption is that all 130 employees will be using this. That's what these numbers are based on. correct?
Eventually, not the first year, but eventually, at some point.
Okay.
Not on a continuous basis, but at some point.
Madam Mayor, may I just, Director Brooks, correct me if I'm wrong, the assumption that we're making, which is one of the reasons I think I get comfortable with this, is that we will be scheduling, if we schedule 12 visits that last 20 minutes each or so, that's 4 hours of time. The assumption we're making is that on a weekly basis, that we'll at least do that. Anything better than that is to our benefit, in our favor. And based on, Madison Heights is a comparable city in terms of size and employee population and so forth to us, they've more than exceeded that in their
Exactly.
usage. Now, granted, their facility is in their basement of City Hall, but ours is just right down 9 Mile here too. So our hope is that through marketing efforts and as employees get more comfortable, and let me just say, I'll be the first employee to use this myself, that there'll be more utilization. Any more utilization than the 4 hours a week works in our favor, and as you see, to the tune of $71 per office visit. That
I
can
was
add
going
up
to
pretty
say,
quick.
Madam Mayor, if I may. Director Brooks, can you just go over the numbers again? I know you mentioned that an office visit normally through the health system, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's $160 cost to the city. And I just saw briefly on the slide, it would be $89 for an office visit. You didn't go over the numbers as far as lab costs versus lab costs to the center. I know those costs can add up as well. But can you just break down, if you have a number, the cost savings that you expect to have, like an annual cost savings? If I know, just for the audience's benefit, we did have a presentation from Care Here and a neighboring city that also has this program already. And some of the numbers they put out were impressive. We were going to go over a little bit more detail. And so if you all have those numbers, if you could share them with us now, I think that may help me a little bit.
Well, in the, we don't have those numbers, we do have them broken down, but I don't have them in front of me.
Okay.
What I can tell you is that for the first year, our overall savings it's a small amount. It's expected to be about $12,000 for this year. The overall savings on everything, and then each year we expect it to grow as usage grows. So when I talk about the $160.72, that is all inclusive of the lab tests, and any other tests or any other thing that may include it when you go into an office visit, down to the cotton balls.
Madam Mayor, I have another question.
Please.
The 12,000 savings predicted for the first year, is that based on the assumption that all 130 employees will be using this clinic?
No.
All right.
Only that 4 hours a week is utilized.
So that's how many, that's,
So that's 20-minute visits divided by 4 hours.
Okay,
So that's about 12 visits a week.
The minimum required by Care Here. And we are going to do everything, and I know we talked a little bit about the marketing that administration expects to do. We're going to utilize the, if we go with this, the Care Here recommendations for getting employees incentivized to do it. But then also, the city administration is going to do some creative marketing to get people incentivized to use the program.
Absolutely.
Okay.
City Manager Tungate.
I want to just piggyback on Councilmember Speech's point that she just made. The incentive part of this is one way to get people, our employees, to visit the center. There's also this preemptive health screening that, as part of that, we would do. And what we have seen, and I was the biggest naysayer of something like this, a couple of years ago when the idea was initially presented. But through those health screenings, the other cities like ours that we're using as comparatives, they discovered ailments in some of their employees that otherwise wouldn't have been found. And because they found them early on, they were able to number one, protect the health of the employee, but number two, save money on healthcare costs. And that's not really figured in here, but that is a side part of this that could end up being a pretty big financial savings for us overall, and over the long haul, too.
Madam Mayor?
What other cities are using it, and what savings have they seen? They've had positive experiences when you've talked to them, correct?
Director Brooks, let me just segue that. Remember that this relationship that council would establish with Care Here is just the first leg of this, because the second part of this is that we would then need to negotiate an interlocal agreement for this center that we would then share with Hazel Park and Ferndale. Ferndale is already a partner in the Madison Heights Center with Royal Oak. So we would essentially be partnering with these other communities who have already done this to maintain the center, the new center, and the existing new center being on 9 Mile. So we would have to negotiate that, and obviously we'd share the costs and so forth.
Yes, Councilmember Rich.
The office visit, the savings in the office visit, I just put this up, numbers there. I think we're averaging about $89 an office visit, and here we're usually averaging, what, $70?
No, the savings is $71. The office visit is $89.72. Normally, it's $160.72.
So if you go to your own doctor, it's $160. If you go to the clinic, it's $89. If you go to a Blue Cross doctor, you pay the copay. If you go to the wellness clinic, you don't. I think my husband is going to be in line first, before sitting there.
And to
Well,
answer
that's
your
not
question
including
regarding
labs
some of
and
the
other things.
savings, Madison Heights has told us that in the first year, their savings, hard dollars, was $30,000, and then to their employees, because of the zero copays, they saved about $25,000.
Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Speech.
Director Brooks, I think the thing that is sticking out in my mind is your last slide, which said, and I know you said it verbally, that there is no possibility, but there's always a possibility. But your last slide said that if no one went, then we could lose 103,000. That's big to me because, of course, this is, taxpayer dollars. So I want to know from the city manager, and I guess from you as well, what are the other things that we're doing in addition to if Care Here was in place with the Blue Cross side of things to save additional dollars? Are there any other things that we can do with the plan in addition to the center if we opted into this?
That's a great question. Yeah.
What other things can be done?
That's a great question because that is, especially in the state of Michigan, and not uncommon around the rest of the country. We've had many changes in healthcare, and not just because of the Affordable Care Act, but here in Oak Park, as Director Brooks mentioned in her presentation, we went from a fully funded healthcare system to a pay-as-you-go system, essentially, and back in 2013. When we did that, our healthcare costs dropped to the tune, I think it was about $2.5 million, Director Crawford, I think. Well, guess what? Now we were seeing, the first couple of years of the transition, we were seeing single-digit rate increases overall, and now we're back to 11, 12% plus. And when we switched, by the way, I think we were 23%, Director Crawford, which that's not sustainable. And this is when you hear a lot about healthcare out there. This is what they're talking about. It far exceeds the rate of inflation. It's not sustainable. So of the myriad of different ways and tools that we have to look at reducing healthcare costs after we've made this huge switch down to this pay-as-you-go system, there are only so many things out there. And these, as Director Brooks mentioned, this center is one of the ways that I think, I'm very confident actually, based on the examples we have from some of our nearby cities in Royal Oak, Madison Heights, Ferndale, where they've seen it, that we can pull it off. We're a pretty fluid machine here in the city of Oak Park government, as you know. And not only that, on top of that, getting more to your question, we are also going to be implementing a full-scale health and wellness program. And one of the things that I don't think a lot of our residents know is that we've invested in a physical fitness facility here in the new City Hall facility and attached to the new City Hall facility. And that's just one example. We've also installed healthy vending machines with healthier foods and beverages and no soda and those kinds of things. It's my hope, and I certainly can't commit to this tonight, to initiate a smoking cessation program and other things that, what do? Well, they bring down costs and they save people's lives and make people healthier. University of Michigan has done all of this. Cities around us have done this. But those are the ways, and us doing those things, that we can control our destiny, so to speak, and even that still puts us into way more than the rate of inflation increases year over year, that unless something changes in the system itself, we're stuck with. Because Blue Cross, I'll just tell you, is not willing to work with us at all. And we're not the only employer who is in this situation.
Okay, I appreciate that. And Madam Mayor, if I may, I do understand, healthcare and helping employees become healthier does save lives, but it also saves dollars. So I understand how it makes sense, and being fiscally responsible with that is important to me, but also it helps us be responsible with our employees and their lives and health. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, one more question.
Yes, Councilmember Rich.
Where exactly on 9 Mile is the facility? Is it east or west of Woodward?
It's east.
Okay, how far?
Hilton, 9 in Hilton.
All right, thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes, Councilmember
Um,
Radner.
Throughout the presentation tonight and previously when we received the presentation in previous meetings, it seems that a lot of these savings are assumptions and speculative. And if everything works out, that's great. And if not, we're losing a lot of money. And sometimes we make investments based on hard data, and sometimes we make investments because things seem to be too good of an idea to not invest in. Who would have thought that Amazon would be a $1 trillion company, right? Well, whoever bought that stock when it first went public, they gambled well. Now, it's a risk, and I'm going to vote in favor of this because all the directors that we hire, we try to get the best talent out there, all seem to be in favor of it. So even though I've got reservations based on the assumptions that our savings are speculative at best, the fact that all of our directors seem to be on the same page that this is a great program after doing the hundreds of hours that they've all done of research, I'm going to have to defer to you guys. So if I were very strong-willed one way or the other, it could be I wouldn't vote this way, but because everybody seems to be very strongly for it, I can tell you right now I'm going to vote for it.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I could just say a couple things in response to that. It's also, I think that's well stated, and I think that it's also important to remember, as Director Brooks mentioned, that the employees themselves, in terms of their own pocketbook, benefit too, because they don't pay their copay, which for office visits is $30 a visit. Well, and for ER visits, or, these aren't ER, but specialty, or, and there's a pharmacy located in the facility. And furthermore, if this turns out to be a non-beneficial agreement, we do have the ability to exit the agreement, and we will. We won't hesitate. It makes perfect sense. But much of this has to be speculative, because otherwise how would we even know? We'd have to make assumptions. We don't have any real numbers in this situation. This is really, the big three automakers are starting to do this, and they were in this area are the ones that began these public clinics like this, that initiated the idea. And government is just now local government, because we're not getting any help from our federal government and our state government. We know that. But local governments, especially in the metro area, are just starting to initiate these things. And, it is on a limb and a prayer, but at the same time, that's the best we can do. And for a bunch of different reasons we've already stated, I think it's going to be successful. We'll make sure of it.
Any further discussion? All right. It seems to me that the other cities have had such positive reaction to all of this. It'd be hard to think that we wouldn't as well. So I'm on there. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Councilman Ratner stated, that we are going out on faith, but because of the questions that have been asked at the previous presentations, the meetings that have been held, I think this is a very good idea going forward, because health care, the cost is steadily rising and the services are diminishing. You can't get now, in my opinion, and I go to the doctor a lot, you don't get the same services now that you did 10 years ago, but it costs me more. Normally I have to go to a dermatologist or a podiatrist or something like that. That's $50 just to make the appointment. So this, I think, would be a good option. And once it's been communicated to all the employees, and once 1 or 2 or 3 employees have gone and the word of mouth goes a little forward of all the benefits that comes along with it, I think the employees will give it a try, and I think it will be a success. This is our answer to the rising health care costs, because it doesn't seem like the insurance companies are looking out for us. So this is our way of fighting back, I think.
And also, it's cutting out the middleman. Would you say, City Manager Tungate, about that?
It is, and it makes, not making a bigger statement on national health care, but it makes one wonder why we have this system we do in our country, and it's a mess. And this speaks directly to that, with actual numbers that unfortunately we're burdened with, because we have to work with Blue Cross. And Mayor Pro Tem said it best. They're not, it's a fact, they are not working with our government to drive down costs. They're just not.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
Actually, we need a motion.
A motion would help,
And then we
yes.
can have discussion after the motion.
Aha. This is a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of the Care Here Oak Park Employee Services Agreement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support?
Moved and supported. Is there further discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
My memory of our meeting with the folks with Ferndale may be different than other people in this room, but they couldn't articulate any savings. That's my memory. What I've seen here, I'm going to vote against it. One, from what I heard from Ferndale. Two, I'm not crazy about the idea that it's way down in 9 Mile and Hilton. I think that a lot of our employees are just going to go to their regular doctor, whatever's near their home. The idea of health screening is a great idea, but we can implement that through other measures. When I do the math, assuming we get the people to show up for those, was it the 4 hours a week, I get that it's going to still cost us $48,000. So I hope it saves us money, but I don't think it will. I appreciate the hard effort of the staff, but I'm going to vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready to vote?
I want to respond to that,
Councilmember Radner.
because anytime you have two lawyers in a room talking, they may as well disagree. A lot of the savings are speculative. For example, I remember one of them was if they go to screening and determine that they have diabetes, then they'll end up saving so much more money in the future. It assumes that that person never would have figured out that he or she has diabetes for another X number of years, which is quite an assumption. There were a lot of assumptions that were based there. Obviously, the biggest one is that the employees will actually go. But this is something that it seems that there's going to be a big push for it. I've got the same exact reservations that Councilmember Rich just expressed, that there's a good possibility that everybody's just going to go to their primary care doctor. But at the same time, the savings that are involved, not only in money but in time, I certainly see the benefits, and that's why even though Mr. Rich, who I consider somewhat of a mentor, is voting against it, I'm still going to vote for it.
Thank you.
For the record, we do agree on chocolate candy.
It's right. Councilmember Speech.
Yes, I just want to note that the city of Ferndale did say that they hadn't experienced savings in their first year, but they were hopeful and optimistic, and they were staying in the program because they do expect savings this year. Last year was their first year, I believe, in the program, but she was there to present in favor of the program, and they are staying in it and partnering with us and expecting to be in the program going forward. So I am going to vote for it. I do trust everything that the managers are saying, and I have been aware for some time of programs similar to this, as the city manager mentioned, the big three that have done it, and other programs that have been successful, business companies that have been successful with putting their employees into programs like this and helping their employees and also helping their bottom line.
Can we please make sure that we can all tell Mr. Rich, I told you so?
Yeah. I'm counting on you to
We have
do
at
that
least,
function.
We have at least one employee so we have at least the 4 hours every week that we could possibly lean on for this to be successful the first year.
Absolutely. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
No.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes. Motion carried, 4-1. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, 15B, I wanted to schedule, I know, and I've heard it in my office, and I know many of you have heard the same, but there's been a lot of questions about our water and sewer rates. And so I wanted to ask your permission to schedule a discussion for our next regular council meeting, which will be on July 17th, at which point I intend to go through a very detailed presentation where we will talk about how we have arrived at our water and sewer rate structure.
That sounds, any action required for that?
No action required, Madam Mayor, but just to note that that will be done on the 17th of July.
And anyone who is here to talk about that tonight, of course, we will listen to you at audience participation time, and you might want to return for the full discussion on the 17th. Item C?
15C, and Madam Mayor, if I could, just back to 15B, if we do have residents who have questions about, specific questions about their water bill, they are welcome to call my office. I'm here 8 to 5 during the day, and I'd be happy to work directly with you on your specific concerns. 15C, just the same as with the water and sewer rate, discussion, I want to have a discussion about the 2017 summer tax bill, and I'd like to schedule that for the next regular council meeting on July 17th. We have a lot of residents who are receiving or have received their summer tax bill and have questions. And I'm going to bring in staff from our Treasury Department, and we're going to go through it in detail in terms of what aspects make up our tax bill. Because it's important to recall that the City of Oak Park's portion of our overall tax bill, it's only a portion, it's not the whole thing. So we're going to go through that in detail, and again, I'd extend specific conversations if people want to call my office. 15D, I'd like to ask our esteemed colleague, Assistant City Manager Kevin Yee, to the podium, please.
The Public Works and Public Safety Departments are requesting authorization to participate with
Is that on?
It is not.
Thank you.
The Public Works and Public Safety Departments are requesting authorization to participate with the Oakland County bid for the purchase of one marked police vehicle. The total vehicle purchase price is $38,696. Amount of $55,000 has been allocated in the motor pool fund for this expenditure. It is recommended that City Council authorize the Public Works Department to participate in the Oakland County bid for the purchase of one marked police vehicle.
Thank you. We need a motion to authorize this purchase.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion or questions? Mayor Pro Tem Burns?
I just have one question. If memory recalls correctly, the last time we purchased a new vehicle, we had some additional cost for outfitting it with a computer or something.
Correct. This is the cost of the vehicle itself,
Okay.
and then the vehicle will need to be outfitted,
Okay.
including the decals and
additional.
things like that.
And so, do you know, I forget the additional cost for that. It would not exceed the $55,000 that's
Correct.
allotted, would it?
We anticipate it'll be within the budget amount.
Okay,
Correct.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rich,
Yes.
Councilmember Speech,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns,
Yes.
Mayor McClellan,
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Yee, 15E, please.
The Public Works and Public Safety Departments are requesting authorization to participate in the Oakland and Macomb County contracts for the purchase of two unmarked police vehicles. One would come from each contract. The total purchase price for both vehicles is $55,763. Total amount of $56,000 has been budgeted in the motor pool capital outlay fund for this expenditure. It is recommended that City Council authorize the Public Works Department to participate in the Oakland County and the Macomb County bid for the purchase of the two unmarked police vehicles.
Okay. Is there a motion to authorize this purchase?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion or questions?
Yes.
Councilmember Rich?
Mr. Yee, I presume that these funds are already in the capital budget for the Public Safety Department?
Yes, this is budgeted in the capital, motor pool capital outlay fund.
For this year or for like 2 years in a row, or?
The vehicles are in this budget, this current budget year.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Burns?
Same question in regards to the outfitting of
They
the vehicles.
don't require the same level of outfitting as a normal patrol car. They're going to be undercover, unmarked vehicles.
Okay, so the $56,000 is all the anticipated cost for both of them.
Correct. We believe that's going to fit within that budget, yes.
Okay, cool.
Can I ask if you know the primary purpose of these unmarked police cars?
I would defer to the director, Director Cooper, to discuss that in a little more detail.
Yes,
But generally speaking, they're used for the Investigations Bureau to do undercover work, surveillance, things like that. But I'll let, if you want to answer anything further than that.
Sounds like you do a great job.
I don't know how much detail. So.
Assistant City Manager is correct. Traditionally, we have some of the standard vehicles, the Crown Vics, the Ford Tauruses, and some of the Chargers that have served us well throughout the years. However, you want to try and keep the pool a little diverse so as not to, when you're doing unmarked assignments, I guess alert that here's the police. So like I said, they're unmarked vehicles for those purposes. We can also use them for transporting various equipment from crime scenes and various other evidentiary type items. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Speech.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes,
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you.
15F, I'd like to ask Director Maroney to join me at the podium to discuss the RRC program. And I believe we have a representative here.
Yes, we do. Good evening. So the City Council is familiar with the Redevelopment Ready program that we've applied for through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. We submitted our self-evaluation. They took the opportunity to review it, and they are here tonight to present the report of findings with City Council and update you on where we're at in that certification process, so we have access to potentially some grant funds we currently don't have access to today. So Christopher Jermaine from the MEDC is here to discuss it with us.
Thank you. Give us your name one more time.
Christopher Jermaine.
Jermaine.
Jermaine, yep. Actual presentation. Here's the report of findings.
Got it. Thank you.
I have it on the flash drive.
Do you have the flash drive?
Yeah. Hang on, we got the
One
wrong thing on
second,
the
he's got
computer.
the
Hang
wrong
on.
thing loaded here.
Technical difficulties,
Yep.
please stand by. Some things never change.
This is it, right?
That's not it. It's a PowerPoint.
We always have it 3 different places.
Yes.
Very smart. Back up.
He's got it. He's
So
got it.
it's right,
Flash
just a
drive.
little dude. So, right there. So while we're doing that, go ahead and start. So as Kim mentioned, my name is Christopher Jermaine. So I'm a community planner with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, specifically the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program. So that's all I focus on, which is pretty fantastic. The program is one of our 2 technical assistance programs offered through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation's Community Development Division. So the arm most people are familiar with MEDC is the business development arm, right? Those are the $1 million tax incentives you read about, aerospace engineering. They get to do all the cool stuff. They get to do the mobility stuff. But the other part of MEDC really focuses on creating vibrant communities. You know, essentially, the days are over where you can just offer a company money and they'll just come. You know, they want a place where people already live, where people are excited to live, and where they can actually attract the best in talent to their communities. So that's what RRC helps you do. So it's a technical assistance program that essentially helps you create that vibrant place through 6 best practices. So as Kimberly mentioned, the city had gone through the program. You entered the program in April with us, and we actually did a really fast turnaround on your evaluation. So right now, anyone who enters my program or the program is waiting about 14, 15 months for an evaluation. However, Oak Park was such a good fit for the program that we bumped you up right to the top of the line. I also just wanted a really happy evaluation to do for June, which was my birthday month, and so I just felt like, Oak Park, I looked at your self-evaluation, I'm like, okay, this is good, we can do this one. We had just gotten off a couple of rough ones, and this was the way to do it. So thank you for that. We're going to talk about how great it was here in just a second, but I just want to say personally, I appreciate being able to write a lot of green and a lot of positive things in a report. So in a nutshell, this slide kind of gives you an idea of what RRC is. It sounds like you guys are pretty familiar with it already, but it is a voluntary, no-cost technical assistance program. So what that means is for the duration of the program, MEDC will never ask you guys for a penny. You can always call us. You can always use our resources. You can ask us for advice. We'll never send you a bill. We're not a lawyer. We're not accountants. Hey, you guys opened the door for that one earlier. I'm just saying. So we do have lots of lawyers, so I can't say that they won't charge you, but we definitely want a community development. So the program essentially operates by providing a third-party review of your plans, processes, policies, and documents related to planning and economic development. So our philosophy is that planning and economic development should go hand in hand. Some people talk about economic development leading to planning, and some people talk about it the other way. We definitely think they go together. Unfortunately, government at all levels has really been built in the way that they tend to operate in silos. So getting those 2 pieces there is really important. That's something that's already clearly existing in Oak Park, which is part of what made the evaluation so easy. Your master plan is built off of your economic development strategy. That's smart. That's how a lot of people should be doing it. It's unfortunately not very common. So we were really happy to see that with you guys. This cool little graphic up here kind of defines how we look at everything in MEDC. So as I mentioned before, people want to live in cool, vibrant places. So people equals talent. They want to live in places that they just want to live in. So my generation, and really everybody now, is choosing where they want to live, and then they're finding a job there. It's not the way it used to be where they're moving to where work is. But in order to kind of create that place, you need to have businesses, and then businesses need people to work at them. So it creates this cycle. So RSC helps you build that place component of that cycle, and ultimately, it is a certification program. So there is an end goal in mind with RSC. Like a lot of technical assistance programs, there's not necessarily always an end goal. It's just always to do a little better. There is a finish line with us. And once you cross that finish line, you still get to have a relationship with us. You still get access to all our resources, but you also just get a cool logo and a party, and even some money thrown your way. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody, right? So we do also have 8 guiding principles we like people to be aware of. I think these are already pretty well integrated in Oak Park. So SelfHelp RFC, is kind of I mentioned, it's a program where you're essentially helping yourself. You're investing in yourself as a community to go through this process. Which you won't find from us is I won't be updating your zoning code. I won't be writing a public participation strategy for you. A couple of things you need. So Kim will work on those. We have a technical assistance team that we can help pay to work on those. But you just won't see us doing it ourselves. We really believe if it's going to work, you've got to do it yourself. We're also looking for communities that are proactive, transparent, predictable, and efficient in their development process. So you're going to see a lot of similarities between us and One Stop Ready, Oakland County. So the RSC program actually was born out of Suburbs Alliance back in the early 2000s. It was bought by the MEDC back in 2012, I believe, and went statewide just a few years ago. So it is built for suburbs of Detroit, essentially. We are working to make it statewide and work with other cities, but I think you guys fit into the great foundational mode there. What we are finding with you guys is these principles, they're already there. They're in your plans, they're in what you're doing. We had very positive interviews with the developers we talked to throughout this process. They're very happy with where you guys are. So we have no concerns that you guys already buy into these principles, which is going to make this process very easy for you. So this is an overly complicated slide about our process. So essentially what you need to know is there's 3 steps. The first is engagement, which you guys have completed. The second is an evaluation. So that's what we just completed and we're going to talk about here in a second. It's very positive overall. And then the third step is what we call certification, but for the most part it's working towards certification. The best thing about this step is it happens at your own pace. So as I mentioned before, we're not putting a deadline on when you have to achieve certification. We understand things ebb and flow, other issues come up, staff come and go. What's important to us is that you're just making some level of progress on a continual basis towards the process. Ultimately, once you meet all 6 best practices, like I said, we have a party, we give you a whole slew of other benefits that come after that are continuing. And then certification is good for 3 years, at which point we recertify communities. We are going through our first recertification right now, so I can't really tell you what it's like because we're sort of feeling it out as we go along. But Roseville has been a very nice guinea pig to us, and they're very enthusiastic on going through recertification. So I think the most important thing and biggest benefit to RSC is that you're becoming a network of communities who are also embracing these principles. So it's a little hard to read probably on that screen there, but there are 110 communities in this program. When I moved back to Michigan for this job 10 months ago, there were 42 cities in this program. So the program has grown dramatically. I'll be honest, the reason for it is it's becoming a gatekeeper, a filter for getting MEDC incentives going forward. So you have a lot of communities who are just jumping in because that's what they want to do. Well, it's not ideal. They're also still buying into the principles in the long run, so we're happy to see that. And the biggest benefit to everyone else is you now have 109 other communities who are working on these same things. So you can do what we call R&D, which stands for rip off and duplicate. All these kind of great ideas that they have. So we do a lot of information sharing. We do a lot of roundtables, all that kind of stuff. This network can be very powerful. The other thing that this map shows you is despite the fact that the program has been around for a long time, there's only 12 certified communities. We take the integrity of the program very seriously. So while we try to be very flexible with communities and you can meet the intent of the best practice in very different ways depending on your size and your circumstances, we do hold people's feet to the fire. And we believe in the program. We believe it works if you go through it correctly. So don't be looking for an easy in with us. We will make sure that you do it right. And I think that definitely just ensures that when you get through it, it's worth a lot to everybody. So this shows you the 6 best practices. In a nutshell, Community plans and public outreach essentially asks, do you have a master plan, a corridor plan, capital improvements plan, all those kind of plans in place that help you create a vision and guide your city to the future. It also looks to see what your public engagement is like. There were no problems with you guys on this whatsoever. You guys are green across the board on this essentially. And it's all just integrated so well in Oak Park. The second best practice is your zoning ordinance. So what we're really looking for here is, does your zoning ordinance actually match what your master plan says? We get a lot of times where communities want to build these cool concentrated development downtowns, but your zoning ordinance hasn't been updated in 40 years and it doesn't allow anything above 4 stories and everything has to be separated and no mixed use is allowed. So I don't know how you expect a developer to actually build what you want in your plan. So making sure that that all matches and those correct components are in place is what that best practice handles. The third is the development review process. So that is where there's a lot of overlap with One Stop Ready. What we're essentially looking for is predictability, transparency, and efficiency on this. So everyone's development process is a little different. We understand that, we respect that. But if I'm a developer or a resident and I want to understand the process, can I? Can I find the things I need to find easily to know what I'm going to go through? What we find with a lot of developers is they care less about how long the process takes, as long as they know how long it's going to take, and you're actually sticking to your guns on that. So that's what's the real value to them. They can work the rest of it into their finances and their plans as they go forward. So the fourth is recruitment and education. This is essentially ensuring your appointed officials, elected officials, and staff have access to tools and training and education about how to do their jobs. It's great for developers in that they can go to a planning commission that's well-versed on planning issues of the day and they know what they're addressing. It also keeps you out of trouble as a city, oftentimes, as long as your planning commission knows what they're actually doing. So, the fifth is your redevelopment-ready community sites. You guys are already well ahead of the game here. A lot of communities, what will happen is they'll sit there, they have these vacant sites, but they don't really know what to do with them. They know they want to put something there, they know where they're at, but redevelopment-ready communities take those sites and you actively market them, you package them, you go out to developers and you say, this is a great site, this is what we'd love to see here, can you help us do it? You guys are already doing this. So you guys just actually, I think, recently issued an RFP or chose a developer for, I believe, an RFP to do a great site. So we were able to mark all this one as green, which was fantastic and really uncommon for us. So that was my happiest moment, actually, when I got to mark that one off. And then 6 is community prosperity, which is essentially, do you have an economic development strategy? Do you have a branding or marketing strategy? And then you have a functional website. So you guys are in pretty good shape on that one as well. So before I show you guys the grid, I mean, you've probably already seen it, but do you guys have any questions on RRC and like just how the program functions or what it's based off? Okay.
Did a great job summarizing. City Manager Tungate has a comment.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a couple of statements. One, Mr. Jermaine, I would encourage you to continue to work with Kimberly Maroney, who I already know is the best in the state and has done a great job in terms of getting our city prepared for redevelopment.
Absolutely.
And then finally, I'm the incoming president of the Michigan Suburbs Alliance, and back in 2012, when we sold this program to the state, if I had known the state would have used it for this, I would have asked for a lot more money than we got.
Hindsight's 20/20, right? That's what they say. But they had to save that money to pay my salary, right? That's how that goes. All those big bucks I make at the state level. So. All right, so let's show you guys where you are at. So essentially 56% done, as soon as it pops up here. That's a lot of green. And then you have quite a bit of yellow in there too. So the difference between green and yellow is obviously green, it's totally done. We consider it checked off as a criteria. If it's yellow, that means that a big chunk of that component is in place, but we might be looking for a little more. So the reason there's 42 boxes, by the way, instead of 6, is we just took the best practices and broke them down into more digestible chunks. So it's a little easier for us to take an evaluation at. It's also a lot easier for you to do along the way, you know, a couple of small projects versus a giant project towards one best practice. So we'll talk a little bit more about what some of these specifics ones are. I will tell you the one red that we had was a training tracking mechanism. We just couldn't find anything in place to do like a skill gaps analysis and actually tracking whether folks were going to training as appointed officials. It's a common one for people to miss. It's something we all know we should be doing, but it's like that thing that kind of sits on the bottom of the to-do list. You'll get to it someday and you just never do. So RRC is kind of the great excuse to actually get to that. So the things you guys are doing really well, we've mentioned a lot of these already, but your plans in place are, yes?
On the previous slide, there was also a violet-colored square. Or light
Oh, yeah,
blue?
the gray one. That's
Gray one.
It's excellent point. So we actually require communities to have either a downtown plan or a corridor plan. Since you do not have a traditional downtown, you are waived from that requirement. And so that's one less requirement for you to do. And instead you have the corridor improvement authority. So that's what we took a look at. So traditionally, and it actually raises a great point, is that traditionally MEDC only invests in communities that have traditional downtowns. So currently you're actually pretty much, you don't have access to our money. But once you get certified through this program, you have access to our money. So it's a good chunk of money, and they're good programs like the Community Revitalization Program, Public Spaces, Community Places, and a handful of other programs that we also operate. So that's a great question. I don't run into too many situations where there's not a traditional downtown. So.
Excuse me, Christopher, I have a question as well.
Yeah.
So regarding the red box, red is just, stands out to me, but for the training, you said appointed, so is that for the elected officials, or is that for the people that we appoint, the commissioners and those things?
Sure, so we look at kind of well-rounded everybody, so we'll look at electeds, we'll look at appointeds and staff.
Oh, okay.
Just see anyone who really kind of touches the development process. Do you have access to funds to go to conferences? Do you identify the priorities of where folks would go?
Okay,
Yeah, so we look at kind of all of it.
All right, thank you.
Yep, and like I said, it's a pretty easy one to fix, which is, I know it does stick out because it's the only one, right? And you're like, so, yep. So as I mentioned before, your plans are great. They're up to date, they're actionable, you can implement them so well, they're all tied together so well. And so you guys are doing really great there. I think you guys clearly understand the connection between economic development and planning. So we're very happy with that. Your redevelopment ready sites, as I already mentioned, it was fantastic. I was on the phone with Kimberly, and we looked at one, and the RFP had gone out, and they had chosen the developer, and within like 2 minutes, she had put like a different one up there. So you guys are ready and on the ball on that, which is also a fantastic situation to be in, because that can sometimes be one of the heaviest lifts, is to find those sites and package them and get them ready. But it's something you're already doing. So public engagement clearly integrated into everything the city does. You go well above and beyond on the minimum, and I think that pays off in your plans. And the fact you actually have people at your meeting tonight. So this is probably some of the most people I've ever seen in a city council meeting, to be honest. I'm sure they're all here to see me, right?
Yes.
No? Thank you. So, and then the fourth one that we think you're doing really well is obviously economic development. Your economic development plan is fantastic. We've downloaded it. We're going to share it with other cities. So we think it's definitely, you guys are a real role model in that regard. And I think it's paying dividends for you guys already in the few years that you've had that plan in place. It's going really well. So a couple areas where we should look for some improvement to kind of get you the best practices. So the biggest one is your zoning ordinance. So your zoning ordinance doesn't really match your master plan. Your master plan is really new, so that's not uncommon, right? You just adopted it this spring, but there's definitely some bigger changes to get that mixed use kind of downtown feel that you're looking for in the master plan. You're definitely going to need some zoning code updates. There's also a couple of other issues like green standards, some housing diversity stuff. I think the housing diversity is probably there, but it's a little unclear. So we just need to make sure that your zoning code is allowing for different types of unconventional housing like live, work, and townhomes and all those kind of things that people want to see these days. I think, like I said, I think you could probably get it through, but if I was a developer and looking at it, I'd be like, I don't know. And I might go next door to somewhere where I do know this can happen. So there's a couple of things with your zoning ordinance, but any zoning ordinance update can take a while. So that's probably the biggest thing you're looking at. The great news on that, and we'll talk about our technical assistance money at the end, but this is something that our technical assistance team is very good at, is looking at zoning ordinances and actually helping communities pinpoint where you need updates to match your master plan. So we could help you do that pretty cheap, covering half your cost of doing that. So something we'd definitely be interested in working with you on. Your development process overall is really strong. So like I said, you've been through One Stop Ready, so you've got that certification. We go a little beyond them. We ask for some more documentation. We ask for some more like formal feedback mechanism from developers, things like that. They're all easy fixes. In fact, I think Kim told me she was going to fix it all by next week, right? So it's going to be good. So you do have quite a bit of yellow in there just because of that, but you have a strong foundation. So you're just looking for a couple of additional things. Boards and commissions, we've already talked about the education and training stuff. It's really important to kind of get that in place. The other piece that you're missing is a planning commission annual report. which is actually required by statute. Any community that has a master plan is supposed to do that, just like having a CIP. So you're not alone in missing that requirement. A lot of cities miss that. We're not the planning police, so we're not turning anyone in at the state level, but if you want to get certification, we need you to start doing that. And we do have some guides to make that nice and easy for you. So, and then the last big piece is the marketing and branding. So you guys actually already do a lot of great marketing and branding work. What we are looking for in RFC is just a unified strategy. So essentially kind of documenting what you're doing. You know, you guys have the great motto, you guys do some great marketing in the business, you already market your sites. So thinking about who your partners are, if you were to start doing more events or create tourism, anything like that, what would that look like? So that can really be a couple of pages. It's just more of a formality of getting that written down. So normally there would be a third slide here that tells you all the things you're not doing at all, but it seemed kind of futile for one thing to put it on the slide, so we included that in the last slide. So what kind of comes next for you guys is to take a look at the reported findings, and everything we've talked about tonight, decide whether you feel like RSC is still a good fit for you. As I mentioned, it's a totally voluntary, no-cost program, which means you can come and go as you please. So if you ever get to the process and you're like, that's enough, we've had enough of MEDC, that Christopher guy, if he ever sets foot in Oak Park again, we don't want to see him, we'll say thanks, and I swear we'll just walk away. But we hope that you guys will actually continue going on through the program. I think there's a lot of benefits to it. The only formality we need from you to move forward is a resolution of intent to continue. So obviously it does not have to happen tonight. That can happen at any of your next couple of meetings. Once we get that, then we will start the clock on one of our quarterly progress reports. So at least every 3 months, we will formally check in with you just to track your progress, like document it all. We'll, of course, talk to Kim a lot more often and obviously come to the city as much as you guys need us to help with anything. And then ultimately, we'll get you to certification. And then we hope to have a party. Ferndale had their party at the Vodka Expansion Space, so you guys got a high bar to beat. That's all I'm saying. They'd been working on it for like 6 years or something like that, too, so they were really excited to. They were one of the originals. So last thing I just really want to talk about real quick is the value. So we've covered a fair amount of it, but I think it's just really important to see the both tangible and intangible value of the program. So RSC is a good housekeeping program, just kind of get everything in order. It's a good partnership building program. It's a good transition building program. A lot of what it does is document things. So if you staff turnover, if your staff goes in on a lotto ticket together and they win $300 million and everybody quits, you know what's going on. Like someone can step in and take care of that. So there's a lot of value behind that. It's also a great marketing piece. On the intangible side, though, there's money attached to this program. So as I mentioned, once you're certified, you get access to MEDC community development incentives. So currently, you just have access to those business development incentives. So you can start to join Public Spaces Community Places, which is a crowdfunding campaign to raise money to do like art installations and any sort of public kind of thing that would build community around an area. Community revitalization program, My Thrive programs, any of that. It all opens the door to you once you guys get through certification. You also have access to the technical assistance funds that I mentioned before. So that is a dollar-for-dollar match, up to $20,000 for anything that will get you closer to certification. So we're very flexible in that. We work kind of all across the board with people depending on what you just think you might need some help from the outside doing. Once you're certified, you continue to have access to that money, which is also great. And you get access to our pre-development services, which is essentially money to help you do market studies and packaging and marketing of at least one priority site a year. So sometimes that can run upwards $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 depending on how big a site is. And we're creating this package just for certifieds to basically cover that cost for you so you can continue to redevelop your sites throughout. So I think it's a lot. Hopefully that was informative for you guys, though. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
It's very, it's very helpful to have specific goals, measurable goals, and a rating on where we are. It's the way you improve. I mean, there's things we're doing wonderfully about and things we're not aware that we need to improve on. It's very helpful just tonight.
Good. I'm glad. That's the goal. Yeah, we really think as everybody is unique in the state of Michigan. I've lived in a lot of other states where they try to do top-down planning. The state kind of knows what's right. What I really like about Michigan is, well, the state's almost abandoned you, right? And so you kind of know what's right. And stronger communities, that's better for everybody. So.
Excellent. Are there any questions for Mr. Jermaine? Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Actually, I just have a comment. I would like to compliment Kimberly and all the work that she has done, because it reflects on the graft that you showed that was mostly green. Well, yeah, a good portion green.
It was mostly, yeah.
And a few yellow, but from the way you explained the yellow things, there are probably things that she's already thought about or in the process of doing. So I think for us to get reviewed from someone at the type of level and the things that you're reviewing on, it just goes to show that the plans that we've done and the importance of having an economic development program and a person helps the city considerably, because we didn't have one 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with Kim. It really has been.
6 years ago, I think we would have had all red.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So,
The
there you go. Look at that.
change in the city in the past 6 years, thanks to our city manager and to our economic development director and the rest of the staff, is astounding.
Yeah.
And so we're very glad to have gotten an A-, and we're going to work it up to an A+, because that's what my mom always expected on my report card.
I like it. We're really looking forward to having you guys in the program. You really are.
It also says something about your actual program. Even though there are 110 cities, communities in it, only 12 are certified. It's going to soon be 13.
All right, I like it. Look at that.
That's it. Thank you so much for your time and your passion. And we are going in the same direction. We want the same thing for our community that
Good.
you're looking for, a vibrancy in business and talent and place. And we appreciate partnering with you to get there.
Cool. Yeah, like I said, we're glad to have you guys in. Thank you for putting up with me tonight. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll give us a card before you go?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Madam Mayor, members of council, excuse me, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't we have a resolution?
Let's see, so now we have call to the audience. I think some people came to make some comments, and we'd love to hear from you. Just give us your name and address when you come on up.
Hi there, my name's Valentino Gino. I live on Sherman Street, 23071. And I have a question. I would like to know when the pop-up park is going to be taken down there. I was under the influence from the paperwork that it was the end of June, so I came and asked a few different departments and wasn't able to get no.
Would Kim like to come up after you? Okay. Check with Director Maroney.
Okay.
So what, did you have an impression about the park, or?
I was asked that, but then I was told that I would rather not say, because it was kind of a inappropriate response to me when I was asked the question, so I just would, I'll keep that kind of private and share it with.
Share it with our
Okay.
director,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Hi, my name's Tom Shea, and I live at 23260 Norwood. I can't even remember where I live. One comment and 3 questions. First comment, excellent job yesterday with the parade and everything at the park. Just want to let everyone know, thank you very much. First question, the relief program, which I thought we did a great job last year in. I noticed that the park behind CASA There were 3 trees that were planted there. 2 of them are dead. And I was wondering, are we going to do it again this year? And is there something we can do to maybe guarantee that we don't have dead trees?
Who killed those trees?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't.
On that one, please talk to Director Kevin Yee on the end. I would love to have them back again.
I would too, so thank you for that. Number 2, one of the mayor, you ran on getting liquor licenses in the area. Where do we stand with that? I have not heard anything about that and was just very curious as to, are there any liquor licenses in Oak Park?
Yes, and Director Maroney will help you with that one also. And
God,
one fabulous one is coming, slower than we hoped, but
Okay.
there are 2 licenses now, and one is on the way. And we're inviting more because it's part of business development.
And I think it's a great, get more people into, we see what's happening with Ferndale. And Ferndale's having really a resurgence, and I think would really help possibly do something in the Oak Park area. And the last one, which is, kind of obviously touching, is there anything that we're doing to fight the 16.5% increase in our water bill in the next 3 years?
Please come back. The next meeting is going to be a whole presentation about that, an explanation. You might not go away happy, but you'll go away informed.
That's
July 17th.
July
Please come
17th?
back.
Okay.
And if
I was going to say, Madam Mayor, if I
Yes,
could,
please.
please feel free to contact my office, and I'll speak with you directly in the meantime, if you'd like, and we can talk about it in detail.
I think it'd be great. I think that obviously if I hadn't been, sorry, I'm out of here.
No, okay. And then, please, are you getting the emails from the city, the informational emails?
I don't think I am.
Please, before you leave, give me your name and email address.
Okay.
And that's the same with everybody. If you're not getting the information from the city, we send out monthly updates with information, and we would love to find you. Anybody else? Thank you. All right. Then we will have call to the council, and I think Benny White has a few pictures from yesterday's 4th of July parade that everyone that I've talked to has been just overwhelmingly positive. Here's our city manager and family looking awful happy at the start of the parade in our new city t-shirts. There is our director of recreation for the mayor's race. You went around 3 times. Here is, okay, give me his name. Devin. Devin Benson in the, slow it down just a little bit, in the ice cream truck. There were some people that still didn't know about the ice cream truck. Why is there an ice cream truck in the parade, I was asked. So we need your email information to tell that. Here is 2 staff members in the new staff shirts, the new gray staff shirts, talking it up. Here is an absolutely stunning mayor and 2 members, 2 members of the auxiliary of the Jewish war veterans. The one on the left was David Gubo's mother, our judge's mother. Yeah. The chair of our
Independence Day Commission.
Independence Day Commission, thank you, and right at the tent where we were doing some interviews. There's George is enjoying the sun, and it's a llama, I think. And the cutest thing, it was called a party animals that brings party animals over to that kids can pet. Kids get a big kick out of that. Here's the Detroit Lion.
Rory.
Rory the lion. And there's Kenny. Rory the lion talking to Kenny. Another one, the mayor eating at the pancake breakfast there. Cute one there. It was a very good breakfast, and it benefits youth assistance. So if you can possibly come next year to the breakfast, the proceeds go to help youth assistance. And here we have Director Cooper and our Deputy Superintendent of Schools and our principal of Pepper School, all participating. Everybody comes together for this parade. It's just heartwarming. Little girl. There she goes. What has she got? A popsicle. Got it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that little preview. I don't know if you realize, yes?
May I interrupt your comments
Yes.
and just, may I ask, which is very unorthodox, by the way, but may I ask that Lori Stasiak stands up and that we give her a round of applause
all right.
for her job yesterday? Unbelievable. We know as a city the difference that one recreation director can make, and she has made an astounding difference. And her philosophy is if it's this good this year, next year we have to add more to make it this good. And the year after, I mean, she's not, Rolling Stone gathers no moss, and this lady is gathering no moss. This has been a tradition since 1959 when they held the first picnic in the park, and it was so popular that they decided to add the parade and the fireworks. It brings us together on a beautiful sunny day for the parade and the Fun Fest in the park, and it was really heartwarming to see local groups involved. We had the East Oak Park Block Club, and a squirrel is their mascot, and they had this 4-foot squirrel going down the street. It was their giant spoke squirrel. Sorry. Easy Roll, Oak Park Easy Roll. It was developed by Aaron Tobin, a resident who drives around every Tuesday night in the summer. Well-planned, well-run. Come on down to the back of the library on a Tuesday night at 6:30 and join that group for a tour. The Oak Park Saints football team was there along with baton twirlers. The Oak Park Marching Band was spectacular. We always loved the woman on stilts, very friendly. There were amazing cars, classic cars and unusual cars. Corvettes. One of our block club presidents' son had a 1974 dark green Cadillac convertible that the mayor and mayor pro tem got to ride on like beauty queens, you know, with the queen wave and the whole thing.
1967.
67, thank you, 67. Cadillac convertible. That was a tank. We remember that the Founding Fathers took a chance when they adopted the Declaration of Independence. We remember the values that brought us together as a country, and we remember the values that we have in common. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
I just wanted to say thank everyone for coming out and participating in the parade yesterday. As always, it was a wonderful success. It just threw me off because I kept thinking it was a Saturday. Also, I want to thank Lori Stasiak again for her efforts behind the changes at the swimming pool for our ortho community.
Yes.
Women's swimming is available on Sundays from 10:30 to noon and Tuesdays from 7:30 to 9. Men can go on Thursdays from 7:30 to 9. And from my understanding, the women's initial turnout was great. It was maybe 50 plus.
Well,
Yes.
higher.
Oh, higher.
How
60,
many?
70. Quite a few.
We had over 200.
Over 200.
Last Sunday morning.
Okay.
200.
Oh, last Sunday morning. Okay.
Whoa.
So I guess the
Whoa.
word has got out and it's being utilized now. That's just great.
And if I can interrupt you, the other the department heads couldn't figure out a way to get that done. And this genius figured out a way to get it done. Sorry.
Kudos, Lori. That's okay. That other genius has also, with her staff, have added an additional day camp, an Ortho Jewish day camp for 6 weeks, so that everyone in the community can participate in the day camp. And also, on August the 11th, please come out and play. It's a kids' fun time. There will be a zip line, inflatable water things for the kids, a rock wall, and that will be from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then from 8:30, there will be a movie in the park.
Oh.
So we have a lot of good things coming on and benefiting the city and the residents. And thank you for all your hard work, Recreation Committee, and Lori. And thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Radner.
Well, good evening, everybody. Occasionally, I need to acknowledge people who are here. And on this particular evening, I would just like to acknowledge my mother, who's here in the audience and came here just to watch me sit up here and be boring. And she's here. And I also have a niece and a nephew, Shani and Yona Katz, who are here in the audience. And they are rather young. And they are here visiting our wonderful city from Israel.
Oh,
okay.
They're here for the summer. So welcome.
Clearly, the
Thank you guys
people
for
who
coming.
traveled the farthest to be at this meeting.
Certainly true.
Councilmember
And-
speech. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
With that, have a good night.
Yeah.
That's just awesome. Well, I did not know we would have guests all the way from Israel, so I want to certainly welcome them as well. And I have to say hello to Councilman Radner's mom, because she always says hello to me wherever I'm at in the community, so hello. Just to follow Mayor Pro Tem's comments about Director Stasiak, I also wanted to mention, just to say kudos to her and thank you and congratulations on a wonderful parade yesterday. It was phenomenal, and just the fact that she has been here such a short time and has done so much for the Recreation Department, I just wanted to acknowledge it and to say thank you. But also, if you all have not received, hopefully everyone has received a our quarterly magazine, but there's a wealth of information about the Recreation Department and what's going on in there. But the thing that Mayor Pro Tem Burns mentioned, the ladies and the men's pool times, that's in there. That stood out to me because actually when I was running for City Council, that was one of the first things that people, when I mentioned what is it that you would like to see done in the city, one of the first things that was mentioned was, well, we want separate pool times. You know, why can't there be a time at the recreation for ladies? Mostly I heard about the ladies, but it's nice that we did it for the men as well. But they wanted separate times at the pool. And I was very proud to see that in there. As the mayor mentioned, that has been something that's been attempted. So when I saw that, I was excited. So certainly look in there. There's a lot of other things going on, but that was one thing that I was super excited to see being done. And nice to hear about this day camp as well. Also, I wanted to mention that on the 27th, there was a groundbreaking for the Jefferson Oaks, and I did go to that. I wasn't here to mention that I did go, and also how well attended it was by the Michigan Department of Housing Authority, Michigan Department of Housing Authority, United Health, and which was the biggest sponsor of it, the Community Housing Network employees, our employees. Everyone was just so excited, and it was a celebratory event, and I was extremely proud of Oak Park and having it here and just all the great things that are going on in Oak Park. It was so symbolic of that, and just the buzz that Oak Park is doing. It was certainly symbolic of Oak Park moving forward. And to have the RRC program here acknowledging just the hard work that the Economic Development Department and Director Maroney is doing, that was just another check on the list of things that our master plan really has been, moving forward to do, but also to acknowledge that, it's working. The master plan is already working. And that event was, symbolic of that. Also, we have a new member to the Public Safety Department. At least I consider him a new member, Officer Mace. Yes, I call him Officer Mace. And I've begun calling him a K-9 officer instead of the dog, but certainly he's still, everybody knows he's here, but he's actually been here, and now he's in training. And I just wanted to acknowledge it to the audience, because a lot of people don't already know that they have the outfitted. Yeah, but I'm talking about the fact that I want him to be called Officer Mace. Yes, Officer Mace. Yeah, Officer Mace. I want to just acknowledge that publicly. I'm calling him Officer Mace. So nobody correct me. I know he is a dog, but he is a well-invested dog that we have done a lot of things for. So I'd like to have it officially recognized that I'm calling him Officer Mace. And I welcome others to do so. Because also that would encourage, in my opinion, the community to treat him more like an officer and less like a pet or something that should be, treated like something to walk up on. Of course, the handlers won't be treating him like just a pet, but I want to encourage all of the people that are inviting him to community events and things like that to respect him more like an officer and a member of the force. Last but not least, yesterday's event, as far as the community was concerned, I think we had one of the largest turnouts that I've seen in a few years. I mean, there were people packed out into the streets, and that's just a testament to all of the hard work that the city does to put this event on. I was very proud of Public Safety, of the Recreation Department, DPW, all of our employees that come out and volunteer for this event for the 4th, and just excited about this was the 4th year in a row that I've been at the event. I usually ride around in our truck. We call it tiny affectionately. It's not a tiny truck. But I had 4 little helpers yesterday, Elijah, Aaron, and Shakira, and they helped me do the flags. We had enough flags for everyone, another thing that Director Stasiak made sure that we had, and just everybody in the community was excited. So a privilege to be a part of, and thank you to everyone that came out. And make sure you come out for July 29th, which is our Summerfest. Another great thing that's going to be in our hat. A feather in our hat is Oak Park as a community. And have a good night.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention. Can I say one
yes.
other thing? I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention that beginning next Thursday, our concerts in the park commence. And they are every Thursday.
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock at Shepherd Park. Oh, this week. It starts this week. Okay, this week. So we have tomorrow. That's right. So we'll see everybody out there tomorrow. The concerts in the park are really, really, really cool. And they're going to be much better this year because now we'll have food trucks. In the prior years, there were no food trucks, but we still had a very, very good turnout. All of the neighbors, the residents, everyone came out to the park. It is something that I always look forward to every July here in Oak Park. So please come out and enjoy the festivities.
Thank you. Councilmember Rich, try and keep it short.
Good night.
There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.